So, in this chapter of My Hero Academia, there is only two words that can basically describe this chapter. Jailbreak. 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 I know I said that multiple times, but hey, it's still two words. Jailbreak! Let's hit that intro. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another manga review for My Hero Academia. Manga chapter 297, titled Tartarus. You know, the place we're at right now. Also, you know, in Greek and Roman mythology, the representation of hell. Yeah, just the fact that we're going to Tartarus, which in the world of My Hero Academia is basically like the equivalent of Impel Down in One Piece. Yeah, you know a lot is going to go down, and if we're going to make if we're going to equate Tartarus to Impel Down, Jailbreak is very apt in this situation because there's a jailbreak that occurs. And what is very interesting that I find interesting and amazing about this chapter is that for the most part, when it comes to this chapter, a lot of people expected this to occur, but me personally, I thought that we would get like a few buffer chapters. I thought this would be an entire arc to its own, that we'll get like a few chapters after the war arc, but no. 296, Shigaraki, being controlled by Alpha One, says that I'm gonna get my real body back. 297 of the next chapter, he takes that plan into action, and well, does he succeed? Is he successful? Is All For One freed? Well, you're going to have to watch this review or read the chapter to find out. And before we even get right into the chapter review, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Blue Drew 97, as well as leave a like and a comment down below, as well as press that red subscribe button and press the notification button if you want to be notified of my videos and let them go into your feed. And now with that little shilling out the way, let's get right into it, starting off with the cover page. So, we start with the cover page, basically them announcing that this is Tartarus, the security for anti-court prison, blah, 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 as well as we get a big, like, block of text, as well as we get an overview shot of Tartarus, just showing, like, how it kind of looks from, like, obviously above, as well as somewhat from the side, but we get this text that basically gives a quick description of what Tartarus is. It's obviously a prison. It holds people with quirks that are extremely dangerous to hero society, but what is even more important is that it holds these powerful criminals that necessarily do not have sentences, as well as it's off the coastline of Japan, and it obviously has that little small detail that, you know, is going to obviously be foreshadowing to that this prison holds these quirk users, and once you come in, you cannot leave. And I'm like, you don't realize that you're in a manga and you're being told in a story someone's gonna break out of this prison. And let me spoil you, someone does. And before we actually get to the actual prison bank, we get a little bit of setup. We see the building from the outside. We get to the bronze gate as we get two people being introduced. One of them is Barriers, I cannot pronounce his name, and the other one is Geis. It doesn't really matter about who these people are, because one of them is dead and the other one is talking to someone's calling for a code red because his brother is dead and that something is on their way. And what is this individual? What are these people? We don't know. No, we obviously know who it is. If we read chapter 296, we know for a fact that who is invading Tartarus right now, and we actually get a time for it, 8:34 p.m. That time may be important because probably the next time that we get is going to get an indication of how long this took, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, oh, all of this happened within an hour, and I'd be like, oh, that's going to be so bad for Hero Society. But yes, we get Shigaraki, or should I say All For One, controlling Shigaraki's body, as well as the 7 Nomu beginning to break into the prison, as we get this really cool panel of like Shigaraki reaching his hand out as he's saying, how daring, or something to that source, as we cut back into the prison. And you may be thinking, wait, why are we going into the prison? Why aren't we watching Shigaraki in All For One's One For All and Shigaraki's body break into the prison? Because we get interesting dialogue from just 2 prison guards, and I think Of everything in this chapter, this may be the most interesting and the most like world development that we get in this chapter, because you just have these two people who are just talking smack to each other, like about their job and how they're talking about these criminals, how these villains, and how one of them was like, man, that big dude is coming in here tomorrow, and he's related to that plum face looking dude. Man, why can't we just kill him? And the other dude's like, whoa, dude, calm down. Like, he's a human, and we can't just like execute him. Like, we have laws. We can't just shoot him down with a missile. That's inhumane. And we have this other guy saying, it doesn't really matter. I don't see any of these people as human. And the other guy's like, yo, you should probably watch what you're saying. Yo, we're being recorded. He's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just speaking the truth, because everyone in this prison, they're not really people. They're just dreadful beings. So we just get this cool conversation, and it seems very realistic to like what you'll have with like someone else on your job. Like, man, I hate my job. Man, I hate being here. Man, you shouldn't be talking about that. Man, I want to like hurt my bosses. I'm like, no, don't say that. It's like that type of conversation, and it's very interesting because it gives like a little bit of telling like how society views the people in these prisons, and they view them not as people but like as these monsters, which just shows like how flawed this hero society is, and like how detrimental this society is, where like people with these quirks, yeah, they commit a crime, yeah, they may be influenced by these quirks, but they're still people. But then there are people out in the world who's like, oh no, these aren't people. Like, oh, this dude has this extremely dangerous quirk, yeah, no, just kill him. Like, but he's a person, I don't care, kill him, he's dangerous. This just shows more and more how hero society and society with these superpowers is just so messed up, to the point where you just have people who are casually saying, oh yeah, just kill this person because of his strong quirk, and he's being controlled, but it doesn't matter. So this is very cool. What is also interesting is that while they're having this conversation, and then we pan over some prison panels where we see some familiar individuals, potentially muscular, as well as Moonfish, Kudagiri as always, potentially Stain, and this other individual from the backside, which I'm assuming is Overhaul. Spoiler, it is Overhaul. And we get this new woman with like streaks in her hair, black and yellow streaks. We don't as far as I'm aware, we don't really know who this person is, but most likely they're going to play a crucial role in the upcoming arc. So we go from seeing those prisoners to seeing more of All For One in Shigaraki's body, like just causing havoc. The entire facility is going under code red as we see Shigaraki being controlled by All For One, just going through the bridges are lowering, machines are coming to kill out these Nomu, the Nomu are fighting back, destroying these drones, as we see All For One taking over Shigaraki, riding on the back of a Nomu, and then Shigaraki wakes up. Yeah, All For One is controlling Shigaraki's body, and Shigaraki's just like, Master, this is my body, get out. And what is even more interesting and cool is that we get this cool panel of Shigaraki and All For One talking to each other through Shigaraki's body. And it is assumed that they are talking out loud. So you see this panel that's cut in half in the center, where on one side you have Shigaraki, on the other side you have All For One. And Shigaraki's like, Master, I don't want to be a chess piece. And he's like, oh no, don't worry, just let me heal. And he's like, no, give me my body back. And you have All For One's like, Shigaraki, listen, like, your body is incomplete. Like, I understand, like, you hate the world. Like, the world trying to give you a head and you just spat in it. Like, I understand, you have a strong will, but just listen to me. You're important to this plan. Just listen to me. And Shigaraki's like, I don't want to be a chess piece. And All For One's like, no, don't worry. You're no pawn. You're not just no ordinary chess piece. You're my future king. You're the king of this chessboard. And like, you may be thinking like, okay, so All For One isn't trying to manipulate Shigaraki? No. I think, definitely think that All For One is trying to manipulate Shigaraki to his own game so that he can be at the top and not Shigaraki. Because here's the thing, he says that Shigaraki is his important piece, that he is his king, All For One's king. If Shigaraki was truly going to be the next king, he wouldn't be the king piece, he would be the king player. So I think this is very interesting because it shows that All For One is trying to convince Shigaraki. He's like, yo, no, don't worry. You're going to be king. We're going to be king. I'm going to be king. And Shigaraki's like, no, I don't get away from me. Stop this, master. Stop it, master. You're hurting me. Get off of me. So we get to see just Shigaraki. I think now Shigaraki is in control as he is controlling the Nomu and is destroying the building. And I think we get like, we're not sure if it's Shigaraki or if it's still All For One. All we know is that someone, and it's most likely All For One, is thinking about how with the search quirk he's able to find, well actually, I think about it, yeah, this is All For One. All For One's thinking that he's using the search quirk to find his old body, and how it's underwater, underground, and how it's going to be very difficult to try and get him out. But if he works together with himself, then it's possible. So what is most likely happening is that he's thinking to himself, and how he remembers a conversation that he had with All Might while his old body was in prison, and he starts thinking about like how this may be difficult even with Gigantomachia was here, and how he needs help with these other villains. So what most likely happens is that we get a zoom in at a certain door, and from this door just things start pouring out of it. And I think what is most likely happening is that the old body of All For One is using his quirk to like basically send an EMP, and it said that an EMP is going in, sends an EMP out the door, blows the door off of its hinges, as well as when he sends out the EMP, also is able to unlock the doors right next to him. And as we see, those doors are open as well, as we get more of the reveal of who possibly was let out. As we get these soldiers coming in, it's like, whatever happens, if they are not in their cells, if they break out of their cells, aim at them, fire at them, fire! And they start shooting off their guns, but they're not very effective because the person that they're shooting at is muscular. As he tells them, it's like, those bullets won't work on me, so show me the exit already. As we also cut over to another individual who has these little barbs spearing people, and if you can guess, it's Moonfish, as he is asking for meat, as his teeth are cutting up and shooting into everyone. And even more interesting is that we focus on this woman who talks about how, wow, Tartarus is really going down because I can activate my quirk. And as we see this person looks over at a door and it's like, and like reluctantly opens it as overhaul pops out. And more destruction. The buildings are on fire. As we see all of these explosions, Tartarus is turning into flames. Very apt for Tartarus. As we have this individual who's calling for the people to follow him as he's heading up the stairs. As a person is looking up at them who is muscular, is calling Shigaraki? Like, muscular saying, Shigaraki, what? You're here. As we get the reveal that All For One's old body has been able to break out of his prison cell and has met Shigaraki with All For One on the roof. Wow, that's very confusing sentence. As he declares that he is going to be the transition into a new era, and how he's gonna bring the birth of the perfect demon lord, and how this is the story of how the greatest demon lord was born, has become, is now in existence. Eccentric, evil plan, evil title. As the chapter ends. Yeah, that was actually really quick. Like he broke out like real quick. Like there was no hesitation. There was no differentiating. He says it and he does it and he succeeds. All within a chapter. Should have expected this from All For One. But this is amazing because this just shows that this Tartarus jailbreak arc, this arc that we thought was going to be huge, that's going to be this huge arc, may actually be a couple of chapters at most. I would say like at most 5 chapters total, so it could still be an arc. But yeah, All For One has already broken out, and he has said that, oh yeah, it's going to be difficult even with Gigantomachia, but he has an entire prison of criminals that have powers that are able to like rival the nation and shape the nation itself. Yeah, Shigaraki is going to have, sure, he lost an army from the Paranormal Liberation Front, but they were mainly like scrubs. They were mainly like common individuals that probably didn't have these amazing quirks. Now he's gonna have an entire prison of villains that are there because they thought that there would be a threat to society now under his belt. So I think it's going to be an even keel. And most likely what's going to happen is that they're probably going to take over Tartarus. Gigantomachia is going to arrive. He's like, hey, Gigantomachia is here. What's happened? And then all of them like, oh, I've taken over the prison. Bye-bye. So if anything, Tartarus could be, and this is just something I'm thinking about, Tartarus just could be the base of the villain operation, because it's like 5 kilometers off of like the surface, off of the coast of Japan, so it's isolated, so not a whole lot of heroes can get there, and even the heroes that could get there, it's being overrun by villains. So most likely that could just be the base of operations as of now, where they could escape and try and find a new base somewhere. All we know is that it's gonna be very short. I cannot say exactly what's gonna happen after this Tartarus arc, but I just know that there's going to have to be a conflict between Shigaraki and All For One, because Shigaraki does not want to be restrained by All For One, and All For One's like, oh yeah, no, you're a key chess piece, and Shigaraki's like, I don't want to be a piece at all. So I think this may lead to conflict between the old body of All For One and Shigaraki, who's being controlled by All For One. I think he may break free, they may fight, he may accidentally or purposely kill his old master, leading to All For One saying, okay, that plan is a little bit screwed up, but I'm still inside of Shigaraki, so I'm gonna still find a way to control him. As well, so yeah, I think that's what this chapter is leading to. As well as we get to see like a little bit more about Tartarus. We've seen it for a while, but we never really got a whole lot of detail about it, so that's cool. As well as we got to see old characters that were literally gone like 100 chapters ago. They were taken out, and now they're being brought back into the story to play mostly crucial roles, and even being introduced to like a new person. So just seeing how this is gonna be. Also, I can't wait for obviously that interaction between Shigaraki and Stain, because I think that when that occurs, I think Shigaraki is gonna have a different perspective that Stain is going to be looked up to and be like, huh, I guess I can follow you then. Maybe not this dude, but definitely Shigaraki. So I can't wait to see like that development, as well as seeing like their interactions with these other villains, Shigaraki with the other villains. I can't wait to see that. So yeah, that's pretty much my review of this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. What do you think of this chapter? What do you think is going to go on between Shigaraki and All For One? Do you think they're going to fight? Do you think that All For One is going to try to control Shigaraki, or do you think Shigaraki is going to break out of his control? And what do you think of like that one girl that we saw? What do you think her quirk is, and how attractive do you think she is? I think she's a solid 8. But yeah, that's all I really have to say on this chapter. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you will leave a like, a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, do all of that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video. So goodbye for now. Bye. Jailbreak, jailbreak, jailbreak.